Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben. If this is your first time here, welcome. If this is your recurring time here, welcome. You are most welcome. Now that I've welcomed you, let's talk about the review I'm about to do. It's called The Sentinel. It's a Netflix, a new original movie, and it's just dropped today. And wow, this was an interesting film. Do remember, give us a thumbs up. Drop a comment down below. What did you think of this film? Have you seen others like it? Which do you prefer? Did you enjoy this? But for now, let's jump into the review. Transferred home after a traumatizing combat mission, a trained French soldier uses her lethal skills to hunt down the man who hurt her sister. So Olga Kurilenko plays Clara. You've seen Olga in Quantum of Solace and Oblivion. I really like her as an actress, well, at least in those titles, so I was kind of looking forward to it. I could immediately believe her as an action hero. So there's multiple aspects to this film, and it's for me it's a bit of a mess. However, let me say there are moments to enjoy in this film, but as a whole, I wasn't feeling it. So the beginning of this film, we have an action sequence that sets up the whole of the film, well, sets up the character development of this film. We have our character, Clara, who is experiencing a war zone, and there's a big traumatic event that happens in. I, for one, thought the cinematography in this area was excellent. It looked great, it set the tone, it set the mood. I love the color palette, I love the score. Just in this beginning, it's like a 10-15 minutes sequence. There is one thing that kind of took me out of it though. There's a slow motion explosion, and it takes the sound away, and it's all slow, and it looked cool. But had they allowed the sound to be there, or just slightly slowed it and then exploded and allowed for screams, that traumatic event would have been much more impactful. Because they made it slow and they took all the noise away, they took the impact away of that moment, so you thought, yeah, okay, that's pretty harsh, but at the same time you didn't feel everything you necessarily needed to feel. That's a personal preference, but I already felt like they took away the impact that they wanted for that moment, because it kind of sets up the whole film from there on. So then we have this character, Clara, who comes back. She's got PTSD, she needs to take painkillers, and she gets sent on this group who kind of are their kind of anti-terrorism group called the Sentinelle. There's a group of people that kind of walk. They feel like they're glorified soldiers. They're very highly skilled, but it's in case that they need to look like they're there for the show of the people to sometimes just having a police presence will stop people from doing bad things. It's that kind of thinking, but at the same time, they're also the terrorist unit, the anti-terrorist unit. So they're trying to figure out if there are bad guys about and if they can do something about it. But as far as we can see, they don't ever actually do any action, at least not in this film. So here's the thing. She has a new team that they never develop. I think there's 1 or 2 lines of dialogue from her whole new team. We never get to know anything about them. So, okay, putting that aside, it's not about them. We don't need development if that's what the story is doing. So then we have a couple of emotional scenes with the sister and the mother, which I really liked. I thought those scenes were great. Starting to develop some background story, so you can kind of, I guess, care for the character. The thing is, she's very robot in this film. They don't give the Clara character, a lot of meat apart from what you see her. But her emotional state on her face, either she is going through withdrawals or she is angry. And it feels like she teeters between one or other. I would have loved to have seen her have some more meat, her characters. I don't think it's the actress's fault. I just think that she needed something more from the script. And then we have the action sequences themselves. They feel very messy. They also feel very real. But for the amount of skill that she has when she is fighting the bad guys, which she does do a lot, there are fight scenes that are good, and then there are fight scenes that feel messy. One sequence in the bathroom that just feels like she was being tossed all over the place, left, right, and center, and she was lucky to get out of that. Then there was a fight sequences with another female, which was really believable. Then there is like a whole shootout scene, and I'm making it sound like there are loads of action sequences. That's it. There are 3 main fight sequences, and they don't last very long. So in between that, we have the dragged out hospital scenes of her sister being injured, and her try to overcome being addicted to drugs and basically find out who did this to her sister. Now we've seen films like this before, and we've seen them loads better. We've seen films like, if you just think about like the Taken films, whoever took his daughter, I will find you.
I will kill you.
It's that sort of revenge assassin film, the John Wick. Except these films have done it loads better. The fight choreograph are amazing in those films. Some of the cinematography shots in John Wick particularly is good because you get to see. However, in Taken, if you use that as a comparison, if you go back now and watch it, you'll be like, oh gosh, Taken cuts so quickly, so it makes it look like it's frenetic and really well choreographed, when in actual fact it's just cut close. And some of the fight sequences here do that, which is annoying, because I feel like the actors themselves choreographed something that was good, but the fight choreographed scenes in a couple of the action sequences, the hand-to-hand combat, felt really close and choppy because they felt like they didn't believe in their actors or their choreographed scene. They wanted to make it more frenetic, and that's annoying because when you get to the final fruition scene, the action scene there is actually pretty good. We have a gun battle, there's some unique kills, there are moments that I quite liked. I'm confused with this film because on one hand it makes for a more realistic hero, less Terminator-ish, less plot protection, so that kind of makes it more realistic. But the expectation is there already. The precedent is set. So on one hand, it's probably actually better than some of those other films because it has a more realistic look, more realistic feel. On the other hand, it does feel dragged out between those action sequences. You kind of are always waiting for those moments because there isn't a lot of meat, and you don't really care that much what happens to these people because they haven't invested much time. It would have been great if they included her team and somehow had that story, and they believed in her plight and wanted to kind of do the revenge thing with her because of how bad, what had happened to her sister, that kind of thing. Or they played more into the PTSD, and you saw her really suffering, but trying to overcome that in the midst of that. Finding out who had done that to her sister, that kind of thing. I think had they leaned into it more, I would have felt like it was a better way to go. So they could have made it longer, but at the same time, the hour and a half runtime did feel longer than it needed to be as well. So I feel like somewhere there's a great film, but it doesn't quite reach those heights that I was really hoping it was going to be. I thought it looked good. I loved the intro. I thought the intro was great, apart from that explosive scene. And I think the actress does a good job with what she's given. I just felt the execution wasn't quite what I was looking for. So I'm going to give it a C, down the middle path. There is stuff there to enjoy, but I didn't love it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this film. Had you heard of it? Thanks so much for watching this review. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.